Mexico and Poland. The scoreboard won't tell you much about this game, right? It's all zeros across the scoreboard. But the true story of this game is that it really was a great one. And for many, it probably comes down to the one moment, Memo Ochoa making the penalty save on Robert Lewandowski. But Herc, your first thoughts as Mexico gets a point from what was a very, very stressful 90 minutes.
It played out pretty much the way I thought it would play out, honestly. I thought it'd be a draw or Poland squeaking through with the goal in a 1-0. Figured Mexico would have the lion's share of the ball. That they did. It's 63% possession at one point when I checked the stats. But never really threatening Chesney, though Chesney looked a bit
There was some good
shaky.
chances in the first half.
Kinda, you know.
Chucky on that turnover early.
Off Vega's shoulder.
Alexis Vegas a la Cuauhtémoc in 98.
But even all the dangerous plays weren't clean.
Yeah.
You know, off the shoulder, off the side, you know, off the boot one way. It was never like a clean effort, and you're like, whoa, that's a good chance. Whoa, this is danger. And even the penalty kick called against Mexico.
What do you think of it?
You know what? It's the risk you take.
I have my glasses are too colored. I obviously didn't think it was.
It's the risk you take when you leave your feet. It's the risk you take when you grab onto somebody's jersey. These things can get called. It got called. We're seeing this all. I mean, every game in the World Cup, there's one play where it can go either way. It got called against you, but who? Again, who? San Memo. It's Memo Ochoa coming up big, keeping Mexico in this. And they live on to fight another day. Both teams live on to fight another day.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the possessions from this. 63% possession for Mexico in that first half. Robert Lewandowski in that first half, just 18 touches. Guess how many he had in Mexico's box? One.
Can't be many.
He had
really just
one in the first half. I'm waiting on the 90-minute statistics to come through.
Was it the penalty?
No, that was in the first half. Just the one touch
sorry.
in the box in the first half. Mexico really did a great job locking him down. How did they do it? Because I said on yesterday's show I had zero confidence that they could forget about stopping him, contain him, and they totally contained him.
They put him so far away from their goal. Away
Poland
from
did or Mexico forced him?
Mexico forced them with their possession. And I thought Edson, Chavez, Hector Herrera were brilliant today. They were, especially in that first half, brilliant on the ball. Anytime Luis Chavez was on the ball, immediate threat. He was good defensively. Edson almost sitting and anchoring behind that, in front of you, I should say, that defensive line, protecting him. Ache, probably the best game I've seen from him.
Mexico,
World Cup qualifying started.
Yeah.
You know.
So Mexico handles Lewandowski, but the other big thing that Mexico fans were worried about this wasn't just Lewandowski. It was set pieces in general. There was like 3 straight corners at one point in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, and I'm literally having a heart attack at each one. But then after that, I really felt like Mexico from set pieces was as good as I've seen them since Juan Carlos Osorio.
Fair.
Right?
Very good. If we can go back to Lewandowski.
Okay.
I've not been so disappointed in a player, a prime player, in Lewandowski like I was this game.
Really?
Even when they were, if you want to say gifted or earned a penalty kick.
Who was more quiet in their respective game, Lewandowski or Bale? It's tough, right?
It is tough. But Bale made his penalty kick.
There it is.
He came up. He had the aguacates to hit it, and he slotted it. He took care of it. Robert Lewandowski, his legacy will be what he doesn't do in World Cups now. I mean, give credit to Mexico.
What
give
he doesn't
credit
do
to
in big tournaments, too.
Big
Euros
tournaments
as well, yeah.
Yes. Give credit to Mexico. Give credit to that defensive line, the midfield, how they played, the effort they put in to limit service to Robert Lewandowski. But that will be his legacy, what he doesn't do in big tournaments.
I want to drill down a little bit more on Mexico's performance, specifically the midfield that you talked about. So when the United States plays Wales, the U.S. dominates that first half, and it's what we expected. And I think it's what we also thought that Wales wanted. Mexico dominates possession here. It's probably what we expected, but I don't think Poland felt as good going in, to the halftime break as probably Wales did, or at least weren't as comfortable with how dominant Mexico had been. Why was Mexico dominant? Was that because those 3 in the middle, Luis Chavez, Ache, and Edson Alvarez, had a great day, or was that because Poland let them have the ball?
No, they pinned them.
They bossed it.
Yes,
they bossed it.
Yeah, the midfield bossed right there. Alexis Vega was a menace. Every time he was on the ball, even when he had his back turned to goal, I felt he could threaten that Polish back line. Chucky kept him honest with his pace. A few good crosses in there. Henry Martin, constant work rate. He never has a shot on goal. He never has a clear opportunity in front of the goal. But he's doing those things.
Henry, on the deflection, Edson takes the shot, and Henry gets the deflection. That was maybe Mexico's best chance, right?
It may have probably Alexis Vega off the shoulder when he doesn't catch it clean.
Yeah.
But they're never really threatening the goal. But they're always just moving the ball side to side in a very chippy game. Almost 30 fouls between the two. Very close. 11 corner kicks, 5 and 6. I mean, the game was a little back and forth, just never threatening in front of the goal.
So obviously we're going to talk about Memo Ochoa. Don't worry about it. But I want to kind of comb through a few other fine point details on this game, specifically Mexico's subs, because there's not, I don't think, too much to criticize Tata Martino on based on the team's performance. Based on the 11, maybe there's one thing that we'll get to in a little bit that I didn't quite like or didn't work out, I think, as he would have hoped. But when I see these subs, Raul Jimenez and Charlie Rodriguez, those were the two guys off the bench, I was like, ooh, really? That's the answer? And then the one guy who you and I have disagreed on, but I definitely see the value of an Antuna.
I see the value in Antuna.
You wait for the 84th minute to bring him on. Is that Tata Martino putting the wrong guys in, or is that him being too conservative instead of going to win the game?
So yesterday I criticized Greg Berhalter for not pulling the trigger soon enough, not recognizing the moment to help his team out. Sometimes you have to leave your team alone because they're doing well. And there was a sound when that sub was made. It was, it was all the air being let out of those cells. You put Raul Jimenez, who is not fit. You put Charlie Rodriguez, who's had opportunity after opportunity with Tata Martino and can't take advantage of it. And you take out two players who are doing so well. Henry Martin in that work rate, the way he was battling, the way he was moving things forward, allowing players to advance to the final third. Ache in that position he had in the midfield. And then Antuna's a great sub. Pace in the final moments of the game. Sure, I can see the value to that. But you take out the one guy that was always threatening. Anytime he took out Alexis Vega.
Yes, yeah.
He should have taken out Chucky. Chucky was already done physically. Alexis Vega still had something in the tank, and every time he was on the ball, he looked threatening. Whether it was back to goal or whether he was facing, he looked like he could threaten at any point, any given moment. Tata just kind of, made his subs and let Poland back into the game. Poland kind of started with a little bit more direct play into the midfield and then switching the point of attack, finding room, finding outlets, and you were a little nervous for Mexico.
Perfect game for Diego Lainez. There's some part of me that was thinking that.
They just bring up Diego Lainez right now?
Yeah. Who, if it's obviously it's not Lainez, who would you have brought off the bench?
Who would I have brought up off the bench?
Because it's clearly not Raul, it's clearly not Charlie. Antuna you might have brought on sooner.
Orbelin Pineda. He's probably as shifty as you can get on the ball. But you're right, Diego Lainez and Orbelin Pineda, somebody that's very good in that 1v1 position. Because when the moments are cagey, when defensive systems are tight, they're tense, you need players that can break those schemes, and the 1v1 players are the best players for that. They're the only players that can penetrate right there by themselves, change things, force others to commit, open other players up, and you didn't have that.
All right, let's talk about the moment. It's hands down the moment of the match with Memo Ochoa making the save on Robert Lewandowski just before the hour mark in this one. Herc, it's not the first time that Memo has been that guy in this moment for this team. And it seems like it's very much the World Cup, Herc, that brings the best out of him.
And it's crazy to think that this is his 5th World Cup and he's only played 3. This is only the 3rd World Cup he's played because his moments are so massive in World Cups. He comes out every 4 years. Sure, stellar club career, but nobody around the world will say, oh, yeah, look what he did in America. Look what he did when he was in Ligue 1, Ajaccio, or Malaga, sitting the bench. It's the World Cup. It's when he comes out. You saw it against Neymar in Brazil. You saw it against Croatia. You saw it in Russia against Germany. You're seeing it now again against Robert Lewandowski, stopping a penalty kick. You can see the stats right there. Last time Mexico stopped a penalty kick, Oscar Bonfiglio, 1930. I mean, Seb, you were a teenager back then. You remember that.
Oh, boy. You know what's great about this is that this is also, I mean, the big knock on Memo is he doesn't come out, right? He's not aggressive off his line. The other knock on Memo is he's not very good, Herc, at penalties. And so for him to make this save against this player in this moment, a great stat from Mr. Chip, it's the first time, Herc, in World Cup history that one captain has saved a penalty from another captain.
It's even more insane when you looked at the last 9 that he's faced. He's not saved for Mexico. And that club and country, there's like something of over 25 penalty kicks that he's not been able to put out the back of the net. But it's who he blocks. It's Robert Lewandowski, and look at Robert Lewandowski's penalty kicks, the last 10. And it's how, the moment. The most massive of moments, the World Cup stage with the whole world watching. It's San Memo. It's Memo Ochoa. Again, being the hero for Mexico. You asked me before the tournament who needs to have the biggest tournament.
Yes.
What did I say?
You said Memo Ochoa.
Yeah. Because this is what he can do, and this is who he is.
Yeah. So I'm thinking here about just kind of like the all-time Mexico goalies, right? And I think Memo Ochoa is in the conversation for the greatest of all time. Does this somehow, this performance, now a third World Cup where he's stolen the show, take him up that ranking, or maybe put him atop it for you?
He's the best.
We put out a request for questions. Somebody said, where is FMF going to build his statue now? They should just name the hall after him at this point.
So when you take into account Jorge Campos and that third best goalkeeper of the year award he won, you factor in goals that he scored in Liga MX. There's nothing wrong with playing in Liga MX. I played in Liga MX, but the world will not remember you for Liga MX. The world will remember you for the World Cups.
And the world remembers him, knows him. Like our social media team put out a picture of him before the World Cup, and people from all over the world comment, that guy is going to be big. Ochoa.
They recognized him in 2014 when it was Memo versus Neymar. He got the best of Neymar.
Yeah.
They recognized him in 2018 versus Germany. They will recognize him now against Poland and Robert Lewandowski. He is that player. He comes out every 4 years and reminds everybody, I'm that goalkeeper.
You put him above Jorge Campos?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Carvajal, the legendary. This is from another
Tota?
era. Yeah.
I mean, the
ball
ball was brown. The ball was brown.
So modern era, he's the best Mexican goalie of all time.
All time.
Okay.
I mean, he's got 5 World Cups to his name, and he comes out every single World Cup that he has played. I don't know how you can make a case that it's not Memo Ochoa. I mean, people get confused and they blur colors, and you're anti-Americanista or you're pro-Americanista, and that comes into play with the Mexican national team. He's the most recognizable figure on the international stage in modern history.
We kind of scoffed when he said
international stage with Mexico, because look, I'm wearing an Hugo Sanchez playera right now, and he's the best club player Mexico's ever produced. But when you talk about World Cup moments, I mean, I don't know who has more big World Cup moments than Memo Ochoa for Mexico.
We kind of scoffed at the idea, or at least I did a month ago when he talked about a 6th World Cup. It doesn't seem so outlandish after that, does it?
He's, what, 36 years old?
37.
37.
Yeah. He'll be 41 for the next one.
Talavera's 40 right now. He's the oldest player in the World Cup, his backup. So, and the next World Cup, by the way, is not 4 years away. It's 3.5.
3.5. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Mexico's starting 11, because I think, Herc, there were some big decisions here for Tata Martino. And actually, I think for the most part, I felt a little bit the same way I felt after first looking at Greg Berhalter's lineup. I didn't really have too much to complain about with it. I thought maybe he'd go with Rogelio Funes Mori. He goes with Henry Martin. I like that. Alexis Vega and Chucky Lozano up top. It was the midfield 3 that we all had hoped. He didn't do anything crazy with Edson. The one thing that you pointed out that you would have done differently yesterday was you said it'd be Araujo instead of Hector Moreno. And I think through the first 20 minutes, every Adri fan was in agreement with you, because Hector Moreno was shaky to start this game.
Yeah, they were shaky to start this game. I think it's just general nerves, but you wouldn't expect that.
But why from Moreno?
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that from Moreno, who's one of your most experienced players. I would have also gone Arteaga instead of Gallardo.
Okay.
But Arteaga was pretty solid.
Gallardo.
I'm sorry. Gallardo was pretty solid. But those are the only 2. Everything else, you're right. I would have stayed with Montes, Sanchez, Herrera, Alvarez, Chavez. Chavez is, man, what a player. What a baller he is. When he has the ball at his feet, his vision, that touch. We didn't even see him shoot from distance, but he's got that in his locker. He's always dangerous. Good 2-way player, honest effort on defensive end. And then I thought Alexis Vega was as good as advertised. He was dangerous. I'm enjoying the second facet of his game, because I know he can take players 1v1. I know he's very direct. I know he's good on the ball. But when Chucky has the ball on the right-hand side, his willingness and ability to come in as a second forward to join Henry Martin and be somebody, como dicen en español, cerrando pinza, closing that back door, if you will.
Yes, the wide-to-wide switches were on.
Yes, the crosses. Poland. I mean, it's Chucky to Alexis. It was on. It was killing Poland. It was causing them some fits. And I think that's what made Chesney worried, a little hesitant, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.